Disclaimer: all the names, events, and places in this story are entirely fictional. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or real locations and incidents is purely coincidental. This is Tales of Dark Echoes, where we gather stories stitched from the shadows, shaped by fear, and told in the voice of forgotten truths. Proceed, if you dare.
Before we begin, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell icon so you won't miss our next dark stories. This is Tales of Dark Echoes, where the shadows has stories to tell. Now let's begin. Have you ever heard of a bridge so haunted locals won't cross it after dark? Where shadows whisper your name and footsteps echo when you're all alone. This is not a ghost story, this is my story, and it begins at the longest bridge in the Philippines, San Juanico. What's up, guys? It's Logan from Logan's Trail, your go-to channel for haunted travels, lost places, and the untold stories behind the scariest spots on Earth. If you love dark tourism, real ghost encounters, and creepy urban legends, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an upload. This series is something else. I'm taking you to the Philippines and straight into the heart of one of its most feared landmarks. Let's talk about the San Juanico Bridge. If you're asking if who I am, why I'm here, my name is Logan Blake. I'm 29 years old, born and raised in Oregon, USA. I've been vlogging for 6 years now, mostly dark tourism. I've slept in abandoned asylums, spent the night in Dracula's castle, even filmed inside a haunted shipwreck off the coast of Scotland. But nothing could have prepared me for what I stumbled upon when I typed most haunted places in the Philippines into Google late one night. San Juanico Bridge kept coming up, not just as a famous landmark, but as a cursed crossing. Reddit threads, TikTok videos, old blog posts written in broken English. They all told similar stories. Don't cross it at night. Don't stop in the middle, and never look into the water if you hear someone calling your name. I was hooked. So I booked a flight. History of San Juanico. I spent the plane ride researching everything I could. The San Juanico Bridge connects the islands of Leyte and Samar. It stretches for over 2 kilometers, making it the longest bridge in the Philippines. Built during the Marcos regime, it was considered a gift of love from President Ferdinand Marcos to his wife Imelda, who was born in Leyte. But like most things wrapped in romance and politics, there's a darker side. Locals say the bridge is cursed. One story claims that during construction in the 1970s, ritual sacrifices were made, children to be exact, buried alive inside the concrete pillars to strengthen the foundation. Whether that's true or just morbid folklore, no one really knows. But almost every Filipino I talked to online knew this tale. Some even claim to hear children crying beneath the bridge at night. There's more truckers report seeing a woman in white standing at the midpoint, flagging them down. When they stop to help, she vanishes. Fishermen have pulled in nets tangled with bones. Others say they've heard chanting from beneath the structure, chanting that seems to grow louder the more you try to ignore it. Creepy stuff. But that's exactly what drew me here. I landed in Tacloban City 2 days ago. The heat hit me first, thick, sticky, like the air itself didn't want to let you go. The people were warm, though, and curious. I started asking around about the bridge. Most locals gave me polite smiles. A few laughed nervously. One old man, a tricycle driver named Mang Chelso, simply said, "Bata ka pa, wag mo nang subukan." Hindi sila natutuwa sa mga katulad mong mapangahas. I didn't fully understand him until I had it translated. You're still young, don't try it, they don't like the bold ones. That word, they kept coming up. And now here I am, sitting in a small hotel room just a few kilometers away from the bridge, camera gear laid out on the bed, charging batteries, triple checking my drone. Tomorrow night I'm going, alone. If you want to know what happens when I finally step foot on San Juanico Bridge after sunset, don't miss the next episode. Trust me, it gets worse. Make sure you subscribe, comment if you've ever heard of this place before, and hit that bell icon. I'm not just chasing ghosts, I'm chasing the truth. See you in part 2, if I make it back. And then I turned off my camera. Last time on the channel I told you about San Juanico Bridge, a structure infamous not only for its size and beauty but for the sinister stories that cling to it like mist over the water. I flew into Tacloban with one goal, to walk that bridge at night and find out if the rumors were true. Now it's time to dig deeper. Day 1. Talking to the locals. I woke up to the sound of roosters and tricycles buzzing down the street. The air smelled like fried garlic rice and sea breeze. I stepped out of my budget hotel in downtown Tacloban, grabbed my GoPro and hit record. Alright guys, it's day 1. I've got 48 hours before the shoot on San Juanico Bridge. Today I'm going to talk to the locals, gather stories, and find out just how deep this rabbit hole goes. I walked toward the nearest market. Vendors were setting up their stalls. Mangoes, dried fish, banigs, and colorful jeepneys rolling by. I stopped for breakfast and interviewed a young man named Jake who worked at a small carinderia. Kuya Jake, I asked. What do you know about San Juanico Bridge? He paused for a moment before replying in English. They say it's cursed. Many people see ghosts at night, especially around 3 a.m. My uncle, a driver, saw a lady in white standing on the middle of the bridge. When he looked again, she was gone. My viewers eat this stuff up, but I could tell he wasn't making it up. His voice had that edge. That memory stuck in the back of your throat kind of edge. Did he stop the truck? No, Jake said, shaking his head. He knew better. If you stop, they say the ghost might ride with you. I jotted that down. The midnight rules. By noon, I'd heard 5 more versions of the same tale. An old woman selling kakanin told me never to walk across the bridge at night. A group of students said the ghosts follow people who film there. Another guy, a jeepney driver named Arnold, leaned in and whispered, "If you hear someone calling your name in the wind, don't look back. That's how they get you." "Who are they?" I asked. "Spirits of the sacrificed," he replied. "Children. Some say they were buried in the pillars." The urban legend again. Arnold said the same thing Mang Chelso told me before. The bold ones they don't like. I kept filming, recording their voices, reactions, and expressions. I wasn't just collecting ghost stories, I was collecting fear. Real fear. The 3 a.m. curse. I returned to the hotel and started reviewing the footage. Most of the locals mentioned a very specific time, 3:00 a.m. One guy, a local fisherman named Totoy, claimed he saw shadows climbing the bridge around that hour, not walking. Climbing. And then disappearing. Sometimes the lights on the bridge flicker. Sometimes they shut off. Then you see things in the dark. I asked if anyone ever stayed long enough to see what those things were. He shook his head and laughed nervously. Nobody wants to know, sir. If you see them, they see you. The police officer's warning. Before sunset, I visited a nearby police station. I wasn't sure they'd talk, but I got lucky. A younger officer named Castillo agreed to chat off record. We do get reports, he admitted. Not always serious ones, but they come. Drivers hearing voices, people going missing. Even a few vloggers like yourself, most of them just get scared and leave. Anyone ever not leave? I asked. He was quiet. There was a case, a man, solo traveler, tried to cross the bridge on foot, left his camera behind, found it by the railing, still recording. I leaned in. And the footage? He nodded. Static for most of it, but you could hear him talking, whispering, then screaming. My stomach turned. Did they ever find him? No body, just his camera and shoes. Nightfall building dread. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed listening to the ceiling fan spin and the faint sound of waves crashing somewhere in the distance. At around 2:30 a.m., I stepped onto the hotel balcony and looked toward the direction of the bridge. Even from far away, I could see the faint red and white lights tracing the curve of its frame. It looked peaceful, but something about it felt alive. I turned the camera on and whispered, I don't know what it is, guys. Maybe it's the stories, maybe it's just nerves, but I swear I feel like something's waiting, preparing to cross the timetable. The next morning I laid out my gear. Main vlogging camera, shoulder rig, chest-mounted GoPro, drone for overhead shots, voice recorder, flashlight, and emergency whistle. I set my schedule for the following night. 7 p.m. leave hotel, 7:30 p.m. arrive at Leyte, end of the bridge 8:0 p.m. begin walk across 3:0 a.m. attempt final footage in the midpoint 4:0 a.m. return. Sounds insane, right? But that's the plan. I want to catch everything, whatever they are. I want my viewers to feel what I feel. Fear, curiosity, the pull of something unknowable. I received a final warning from Jake before leaving the eatery that afternoon. He looked serious. Don't forget what we told you, sir. If something calls your name, don't answer, and if you see the girl in white, walk fast. Don't let her speak. Tomorrow night, I cross San Juanico Bridge. No more stories, no more theories, only the truth. Subscribe, comment if you've ever crossed San Juanico at night, and don't forget to click the bell so you're the first to know what happens next. In the next episode, things start getting real. See you on the bridge. I spent a full day in Tacloban gathering stories about San Juanico Bridge. Tales of ghostly voices, vanishing women in white, and locals who warned me never to walk it at 3 a.m. But I'm not here to listen. I'm here to see for myself. Tonight I cross the bridge, gearing up the final hours. It was just after 5 p.m. when I started prepping. I laid out my gear across the hotel bed like it was military equipment. Every piece of tech had a job. Battery check, camera storage, night vision lens, drone charged and prepped for launch. Even packed 2 energy drinks and a granola bar. No turning back now. I turned to the camera. All right, guys, this is it. I'm leaving in an hour. San Juanico Bridge, 2 kilometers of steel, silence, and maybe, just maybe, the stuff of nightmares. Let's find out. I zipped my bag shut and headed out the door. Arrival at the bridge, 7:30 p.m. The ride to the bridge was quiet. Too quiet. Even my driver, a talkative old guy named Mario, stopped cracking jokes halfway through. As we neared the bridge, he slowed down, looked at me in the rearview mirror and said, "You still want to do this?" I nodded. He parked a few hundred meters from the start of the bridge and waited silently as I geared up. The sun had just dipped below the horizon. Golden hour was fading fast. San Juanico stretched before me like a serpent across the sea. From where I stood, I could see the faint glow of street lamps lining the curve. No traffic, no wind. Just me, the steel, and the stories. I clipped the GoPro to my chest rig, hit record, and took the first step. The walk begins 8 p.m. "Okay," I whispered into the mic. "This is Logan. It's 8 p.m., and I've officially stepped onto San Juanico Bridge." I walked slow, letting the camera pick up the eerie quiet. Just the crunch of my boots and the occasional hum of a street lamp overhead. On both sides, the water reflected the lights, perfect and still. The first few minutes were fine. I even cracked a few jokes to keep the mood light for the viewers. But the air changed. It wasn't the temperature, it was something else, like the pressure dropped, like the bridge itself was holding its breath. Unexplained sound, 8:27 p.m. 27 minutes in, I heard something. A soft clang, metal tapping metal. Not loud, not close, but it was there. I froze, slowly turned the camera toward the direction it came from. Nothing. Probably just expansion joints, I whispered. Or wind. Yeah. But there was no wind. It happened again, this time behind me. The first shadow, 9:02 p.m. I'd reached the midpoint by 9 p.m. That's when I saw it, out of the corner of my eye. Movement. I swung the camera around. Nothing. I switched to night vision mode. Still nothing. But the sensation, it felt like someone just stepped out of sight, like someone was watching from just behind the railing. I started talking to the camera to calm myself down. "Okay, false alarm, shadow tricks. My eyes are just adjusting. We're good, everything's fine." Then something passed by the corner of the frame. A blur, thin, pale. I rewound the clip and slowed it down. Definitely something, but too fast to tell what. The strange lights, 10:13 p.m. I launched the drone just after 10 p.m. to get overhead shots. From above, the bridge looked like a sleeping monster, curved, beautiful, still. Then something flickered on the live feed. A single red light blinking on the far end of the bridge. Not a car, not a bike, just one red glow, stationary. "Strange," I muttered. I flew the drone closer, but the light vanished before the drone reached it. Then the camera feed cut out. Static. I tried to reboot it, nothing. Whispers in the dark. 11 p.m. I decided to keep walking. The night had gone still again. No breeze, no birds, no insects, just my own footsteps. Then, a whisper, right by my left ear. "Logan." I stopped, heart hammering, looked around. No one. "Who's there?" I called. Nothing. I rewound the audio and boosted the gain. It was there, my name, clear as day, Logan. That's when I remembered Jake's warning. If something calls your name, don't answer. Too late. Something in the water, 12:15 a.m. I pointed the camera toward the water, hoping to calm my nerves with a scenic shot. But something was moving below. Not fish, bigger. A pale shape gliding just beneath the surface, long, human-like. I zoomed in, but the shape disappeared under the shadow of the bridge. When I looked up from the screen, I heard footsteps behind me. I spun around. Empty road. By 1 a.m., I was halfway between the Samar-Leyte ends of the bridge. The shadows were thick now. The silence, heavy, oppressive. And I knew something had noticed me. This bridge was more than haunted, it was hungry. It started as just a walk, curious, cautious, camera ready. But then came the whispers, the shadow that passed behind me, and the red light that blinked and vanished. I thought it was all just adrenaline. Now I know better. Something is here. And it's not just watching, it's waiting. 1:11 a.m. the shadows get closer. There's a moment when fear stops being just a feeling and becomes physical. It settles into your bones, your breath gets shallow, your legs get heavy. That's where I was. I stopped walking, not by choice. My legs just wouldn't move. The bridge ahead of me looked warped, as if heat waves were rising from the asphalt. But it wasn't hot, it was freezing. The wind had picked up, but it wasn't whistling. It was whispering. I couldn't make out the words, but it was like dozens of voices speaking all at once, raspy, desperate, as if they were being dragged underwater. I panned my flashlight across the bridge, nothing. But then, bare footprints, wet, leading toward me. I started recording again. 1:30 a.m., the vanishing woman. I picked up the pace, fast walk, not quite a run. That's when I saw her, a woman, maybe in her 20s, standing perfectly still on the opposite lane. Her back to me, hair long and wet, a white dress clinging to her form. "Hey, are you okay?" I shouted. No response. She turned. Her face, gray, eyes too wide, mouth slightly open like she'd been underwater too long. I blinked. She was gone. The flashlight flickered, the wind died again. 1:42 a.m. the sounds beneath. The camera picked up a new sound, sloshing, below me. I pointed it over the railing. There was something in the water again. But this time it wasn't one shape, it was several. Figures floating just beneath the surface, all of them pale, all of them facing upward, eyes open. Then they sank, fast, like they were yanked down. The whispers grew louder. I turned around. The woman in white was standing in the middle of the road again, but closer. 1:50 a.m. phone call from nowhere. I decided to call Mario, the driver, just to hear a human voice. Anything. Dialed. Ring, ring, click. But it wasn't Mario who answered. A voice, male, deep, distorted, just said, "You shouldn't have come." Then static. My phone shut down, battery dead, but it was full when I left. 2:10 a.m. The lamppost that bleeds. I passed by one of the street lamps. The light flickered, then buzzed. Drip, drip. Something wet hit my shoulder. I looked up, red liquid seeping from the light fixture, dripping steadily. I backed away. The next lamp turned off completely. One by one, the lights ahead of me started shutting off. Click, click, click. I turned to run, and she was behind me, inches away, that same woman, pale, wet, whispering something I couldn't understand. I bolted. 2:45 a.m. The dead don't walk alone. My footsteps echoed like gunshots in the silence. The wind picked up again, but this time it carried a sound. Footsteps, not mine. More than one set. I turned and saw them. Dozens, maybe more, Figures walking toward me, men, women, children, all with the same dead stare, all walking in sync. Some limped, some dragged something behind them. And all of them were whispering. I couldn't breathe, couldn't speak, just ran. 2:58 a.m. A warning too late. I finally saw the end of the bridge. A speck of light. Hope. Then I remembered what one of the locals told me earlier. If you hear them call your name 3 times, run the other way. Logan, Logan. The third came just as I reached the final lamppost. Logan. It didn't sound like them anymore. It sounded like me. I didn't stop. I kept running. But deep down I knew I hadn't escaped. Something was still following. And in the next episode, I find out just how far it's willing to go. They called my name 3 times. The locals said that was the warning, the point of no return, but I kept going. Now I'm not sure if I'm still on the bridge or somewhere it wants me to be. 3:01 a.m. running isn't enough. I don't remember how long I ran. My legs felt detached from my body. My lungs were on fire. Every step echoed like a drum beat in my ears, but the bridge wouldn't end. I could still see the island's lights, but they never got closer. Like the bridge was stretching or I was shrinking. Then the fog rolled in. Thick, wet, choking fog. My flashlight couldn't cut through it. The camera picked up nothing but static. I screamed, just to prove I could still make sound. Something screamed back. 3:09 a.m. The stretching road. The yellow lines on the road twisted, literally. They coiled like snakes curling away from me. And the railing on the side of the bridge? Gone. Just mist, and something moving inside the mist. I heard flapping wings, but not like birds, bigger, slower. I ducked low and crawled. And that's when I saw the first set of hands reaching out of the fog. Gray, long, fingers twitching like they were testing the air. I didn't wait. I ran again. 3:21 a.m. The red-eyed ones. There was no sound, not even wind anymore. Then they appeared. 2 figures, standing on either side of the bridge, perfectly still, dressed in dark robes. Faces covered. But beneath their hoods, eyes, red, glowing, angry, they watched me. And when I passed between them, the air got heavy, like walking through water. I felt something pierce my back, a sharp, sudden cold. I spun around, no one there. But my shirt was torn and something scratched into my skin. 3 words, not yours anymore. 3:36 a.m. The bridge shifts. The bridge under my feet trembled. Then it tilted, just slightly, like it wanted me to fall off. I staggered, gripping the edge of the road where the railing should have been. Down below, the water wasn't water anymore. It looked like a mirror, but warped, like a black lake reflecting not the sky, but faces, and every face was mine. Twisted, screaming, eyes missing. 3:45 a.m. trapped. I stopped running. There was no end, no beginning. The bridge had become a loop. I passed the same flickering lamppost 3 times, saw the same dead bird in the same spot. Time was broken. I sat down, tried to breathe, tried not to cry. Then a light, a small one, coming toward me. A lantern, carried by a woman. 3:53 a.m. The lady with the lantern. She was old, Filipino, wore a shawl and long skirt, feet bare, wet with dew. She didn't look at me directly, just said, "You don't belong here." I stammered. "I just wanted to film." I didn't mean... She held up her hand. The bridge doesn't care what you mean, only who you are. I didn't understand. She placed the lantern at my feet. Walk back. Keep the light in front of you. Don't look behind. What's behind me? I asked. She didn't answer, but I heard it. A wet, dragging sound getting closer. 4:05 a.m. The escape begins. I walked. Each step felt like I was stepping on ice. The lantern's glow was weak but steady, just enough to see the road. Behind me, the dragging got louder. Something was following. I wanted to look just once. But the old woman's voice echoed in my head. Don't look behind. So I didn't. Not even when I heard my own voice behind me, calling for help, crying, begging. 4:15 am end in sight. The fog began to lift. The lampposts returned. The air warmed. And then I saw it, the end of the bridge. I started crying. I don't know why. Relief, terror, both. I turned the camera back on. Hey guys, if you're watching this, I don't know what's going on, but I think I'm getting out. I think... A loud bang cut me off from behind. I didn't turn. I just ran. 4:22 a.m. off the bridge. I collapsed at the edge of Samar, right where the bridge met the land. The lantern was gone. I turned back. Nothing there. Just the bridge, silent, empty. But I knew something was still watching. Something hadn't followed me. It had let me go. For now. They say the San Juanico Bridge doesn't just haunt, it hunts. I saw things no camera could capture. Heard voices that knew my name. And something chased me, something old watching from the fog. But I got out, thanks to an old woman with a lantern. Or so I thought. 4:30 a.m. collapse. I don't know how long I lay there, at the edge of the bridge, gasping, trembling. I had no idea how I made it back to land. My hands were scraped raw, my throat felt torn from screaming. But the sun hadn't risen yet and I wasn't safe. Something told me it wasn't over. 4:42 a.m. the local man. I forced myself to move. My camera was still recording, barely hanging on by its cracked rig. I walked into the nearest barangay. Streets were silent. Dogs barked from somewhere in the dark. I saw a tricycle driver asleep in his seat. I tapped on his shoulder. Kuya, please, I need help. He blinked at me, confused, then alarmed. You came from the bridge? I nodded. I was filming. Something followed me. I think I saw a ghost. He crossed himself. You're lucky you're not dead. He motioned for me to get in. I know someone who can help. 5:11 a.m. Lola Amora. The tricycle dropped me in front of an old nipa house on a hill overlooking Samar. The driver pointed. Tell her everything. The door creaked open before I even knocked. A small woman stood there, her eyes sharp, clouded only slightly by age. You saw her, didn't you? She said. I froze. Who? The woman with the lantern. I nodded slowly. She saved me, I think. She motioned me in. No, she only shows herself to those the bridge is marked. I sat on a bamboo chair, my knees still weak. She said I didn't belong, that the bridge doesn't care what I mean, only who I am. Lola Amora lit a candle. Did she say her name? No, she won't, because she no longer remembers it. 5:30 a.m. A story in the flames. The candle flickered strangely, and Lola Amora began to speak. During the martial law era, a young woman worked as a nurse on this very bridge. It was still under construction. She tended to injured workers, often in secret when others would not. She saw something she shouldn't have, something about the foundations of the bridge. Rituals, sacrifices. My mouth went dry. She tried to expose it and they made her disappear. But her soul didn't leave. She's the one who warns the curious, but she's also cursed to stay eternally walking that bridge, lantern in hand. She doesn't just guide, she tests. I shivered. What do you mean? She wants to know if you belong in the world of the living, or with her. 6 a.m. a task given. Lola handed me a piece of banig with strange symbols drawn in charcoal. This will protect you, but only for a time. The bridge remembers you now. You're marked. I felt cold all over. Why me? Because you looked, you filmed, you invited it. I tried to argue, but she shook her head. There is one thing you can do. What? Go back. I stared at her in disbelief. Excuse me? You must walk the bridge again, before sunrise. This time not to capture, but to return something. She handed me a small object wrapped in cloth. I unwrapped it slowly. It was a rusted name tag. Maria L. Santos, volunteer nurse. 6:21 a.m. the journey back. The tricycle driver refused to take me back. So I walked. My hands trembled as I approached the bridge again. The fog had lifted slightly, but the dread hadn't. I held the name tag tight. Not for the camera, not for the content. This time, it felt like penance. 6:35 a.m. shadows return. The moment I stepped onto the bridge again, the air shifted. No wind, no birds, just silence. Then the whispers started. Logan, go back. Stay forever. I kept walking. This time the road didn't stretch, the lines didn't twist, but the bridge watched. The lampposts flickered, and from the corner of my eye I saw her, Maria. She was walking beside me again, barefoot, her lantern glowing faintly. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. 6:47 a.m. the altar. She led me to a spot midway across the bridge. I had passed it during my panic, but now it looked different. An old stone slab, cracked, covered in moss. Maria stopped. She looked at me, then to the slab. I understood. I stepped forward, placed the name tag gently on the stone. It pulsed once, then grew still. Maria placed her lantern beside it, and finally looked me in the eyes. Thank you. Her voice was faint, wind-like. Then she was gone. 7 a.m. dawn. The sun began to rise. The fog cleared. The bridge looked normal, just steel and concrete. But I knew better. I turned around. No whispers, no red eyes, no illusions. Just morning traffic starting to build. I crossed back to Samar, alone. 7:18 a.m. back to Lola. I returned to the Nipa house. Lola Amora stood at the door. You did it? She asked. I nodded. I returned her name. She smiled sadly. She'll rest now, for a while. I sat down on the step. I can't believe any of this happened. She handed me salabat in a clay mug. Believe it or not, you're part of it now. 7:45 a.m. camera diary entry. I turned the camera back on. This isn't the kind of video I expected to make, but maybe it's the one I needed to. The San Juanico Bridge isn't just haunted, it's alive. And maybe some ghosts don't just want revenge. Maybe they want to be remembered. I don't know what happens next, but I'll keep telling the story because someone has to. I looked out toward the bridge one last time, and I could have sworn I saw a lantern flicker, just once, then fade. The last light on San Juanico Bridge. I made it out. At least I think I did. I stumbled into a small sorry store just beyond the bridge, bleeding from a cut I hadn't noticed before and barely able to speak. My camera? Gone. My phone? Dead. My head? Spinning. But I was alive, or something close to it. The locals looked at me like they'd seen this before. An old man stood up from a bamboo bench, squinted at me and said, "You met her, didn't you?" I nodded, unable to form words. "Maria," he added almost in a whisper. I didn't say anything back, but he knew, and somehow I knew too. They brought me to a nearby barangay hall. There, with warm soup in my hands and a blanket over my shoulders, I finally began to speak. I told them everything. From the dark whispers on the bridge, the shadows following me, the faceless figures, and the woman, the one with the lantern. They listened silently, and then the same old man, Tate Enso they called him, shared a story that froze my blood more than the bridge ever could. Maria, he said, was a nurse back during the Marcos regime when the bridge was being constructed. She was engaged to one of the engineers, a good man, but he vanished during construction. Rumors said he discovered something, some dark secret behind the bridge's sudden push. Next thing we know, Maria was found floating beneath the pillars. Suicide, they said. He spat the word like it tasted wrong. But we know better. Since then, she's been seen helping people, travelers who get lost, young lovers, drunk drivers, vloggers, people who come looking for ghosts. My heart sank. She always appears right before they're gone forever, guides them out, but no one has ever seen her twice. A sharp chill went through me. I remembered how she took my hand, how her lantern glowed but never flickered even in the wind, how her face never turned fully to me. I thought she was saving me, but what if she wasn't? Later that night, I checked into a small inn. I locked every door, every window. I didn't sleep. Instead, I reviewed my footage, or tried to. The memory cards were blank, erased, but my laptop picked up something odd. A single image that survived. A still shot, frame 13 out of 1,000. Maria. Standing at the foot of the bridge, lantern in hand, smiling directly at the camera. Her eyes empty, not angry, not sad, just void. Behind her, faint and shadowy, was a figure hanging upside down beneath the bridge. I slammed the laptop shut. The next morning, I was determined to leave Leyte. While waiting at the terminal, a little girl selling candies came up to me and asked, "Kuya, may nakita ka bang babay sa tulay? May dalang ilaw?" I stared. "Wala po siyang mukha, diba?" she added with a smile. Before I could respond, her mother called her back. She ran off, giggling. I never answered. Before heading to the airport, I stopped one last time at a small carinderia near the bridge. I told the story again to a younger guy working there. He nodded slowly, eyes serious. "Alam mo, sir," he said, "lahat ng yan sinabi rin sa'kin ng lolo ko. Pero may isa pa siyang sinabi. Lahat ng tinulungan ni Maria may kapalit. Hindi ka na makakalimot, kahit gusto mo." And he was right. Every night since I left, I've had the same dream. I'm back on the bridge, the wind is cold, I'm alone. But I hear her voice, soft, singing. The lantern light flickers in the distance. She's waiting. I don't know if I ever really left San Juanico Bridge. And maybe I never will. Have you ever crossed the San Juanico Bridge late at night? Did you see the woman with the lantern? If you've had any strange experience or know someone who has, drop it in the comments. Let's keep this conversation alive, and maybe, just maybe, we can piece together the truth. And hey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Tales of Dark Echoes for more stories that'll make your skin crawl. Again, this is the Tales of Dark Echoes, where the shadows have stories to tell.